So you never wanted a regular type life?
What the fuck is that? Barbecues and ball games?
Heat coming up next. Welcome back to Nerd is the New Cool. I'm Justin. With me as always, Mr. John Lambert.
How's it going, man?
Awesome. One might say I'm heated up for this. That
Eh,
was
that
terrible.
was that was
I
terrible.
had a really good pun earlier when
Okay.
I was talking to Jan about this, and I was it had to do with NBA Jam.
Oh, he's heating up.
Way better than that intro just now. But regardless, I am super pumped to talk about this movie. Heat came out 30 years ago.
That's surprising.
Well, it's you look back and you start thinking about this has become our life now. When people say, and
I know.
I hear young adults and high school students say, "Oh, I did classic rock," and they're talking about alternative 90s
Yeah,
music.
they're talking about like Pearl Jam. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck you.
This is probably what our parents felt like. But either way, this is obviously a classic movie. And I think the first thing that we always ask about these films is that, do you remember when you first saw this?
No. I do not. I mean, we're talking 95, so definitely not, probably not in the theater. This very well could have been another fraternity movie for me.
Yeah.
But again, I do not recall the exact first time that I saw it, but if I had to put a guess on it, I would say it was probably around that time.
Okay, that's fair. And I did see this in the theaters, and I don't know who I went with or how I got in there, but I do recall seeing
Yeah,
this.
because we were 14.
I recall seeing this in theaters. I think if I remember correctly, this was with the Esquire, and I think it may have been with Pascal or Cagle, but it was definitely not a. We didn't buy tickets to this movie. We bought tickets to a different film, and then went to the upstairs theater or whatever, and saw this. And I watched it because of how much I was into films like, I mean, The Godfather, obviously, but Goodfellas, but basically Pacino and De Niro. And so being able to see them two together for the first time on screen, I really couldn't pass that up. But I don't think I really appreciated this movie as much at the time as I have come to appreciate its awesomeness, um, since then.
Yes.
Now, how'd you rewatch this?
Netflix.
I
Hmm.
I watched on Netflix too.
Yep.
It was sad, not sad. It was convenient to pop it on Netflix, but I will say that I did pull out the DVD that I definitely still have from our college days, and there were some added bonuses on there, a couple commentaries and interviews with certain characters, and a little bit on Michael Mann too, which we'll talk about here in a second.
Yep.
So, what makes this great? I kind of put the first thing for me is just the De Niro and Al Pacino on screen for the first time.
Was it really?
It's the first time they're on screen together. Now, they're in Godfather 2, but
Correct.
obviously they're playing, different
Well,
gener
they're playing, yeah,
they're playing different generations of the Corleone family.
different generations at a different time period. So yeah.
But this is, if I mean, I'm pretty certain this is the first time that they share screen time, and the screen time they share together. It's only really one scene, except for like the end, like fight, I guess, or like chase. But
Right.
a diner scene became, I don't know if is iconic the right word or like, I mean, the impact that that had as far as on cinema and just kind of talking points. I don't know. Do you remember this being a thing that people? I remember people talking about this.
I mean, it's been, well, it's funny because whenever I think about the diner scene, I think of John Mulaney because he's got a bit in one of his comedy specials where he talks about like him growing up and his dad was a lawyer and he's like it was like that it's like that scene in the movie Heat, and this actually they don't actually say this, but it's like we're not so different, you and I. Like you with your law practice and me with all these fucking markers. But that's honestly when I think of that, like that's the first thing I think of when I think of the diner scene is unfortunately John Mulaney. But but yeah, I mean that we're I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but on the recast, like it's you're like I was it wasn't difficult, but it was also kind of like you want to make sure you nail it because you're talking about two like and this word is overused, but for these two it's appropriate. You're talking about two iconic actors, like sharing the screen, sharing a coffee, like sharing a booth for the same time. Yeah, they're in the movie, but they only have a handful of scenes together. But like this is worlds colliding with these two, like in the same frame.
When I was thinking about recast this, I thought the same thing. Who are
Who are
some
the biggest movie stars on the planet right now that
yeah.
are of the correct age? Like not like Timothy Chalamet or something like that, but like yeah. Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
Well, I
But
mean, well, no,
but it was that kind of thing.
let's talk about De Niro and Pacino. Like, I think let's skip ahead because I think it's important to like discuss like I don't know, like De Niro and Pacino, like wait at that time in their careers. I mean, let's rattle off some things from De Niro or like what I mean, late like mid 90s De Niro. He's coming off Goodfellas. He's done Ronin, and obviously he is Raging Bull, and
Taxi driver.
Taxi Driver, Godfather. Like, not only is he an incredible actor, but he's also got all these, Academy Awards and accolades. And then kind of on the flip side of it, you got Pacino, who is also like he's like the actor's actor. Like he's known for being on theater, and I think De Niro did a little bit of that, but he's got Dog Day Afternoon, obviously Godfather as well.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even get his Oscar though until later on with Scent of a Woman. But
Right.
but it's one of those guys like he's just like he's gonna get it. Let's just give him that Oscar at some point. But yeah, they are like the biggest, not even powerhouses. They're just the ones who everyone like in Hollywood, you have to say like who are the biggest actors in the world, best actors in the world. I mean, De Niro
Right.
and Pacino are on that
It
list.
was them, and then like like especially when you're talking about like at the time, it's like them, and it's like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
It's like that that level.
it's a real small
It's
Rushmore.
a very small elite list.
Well, so real quick about De Niro, apparently he saw this script before anybody else and he signed on immediately. And then funny enough, he took the script to Pacino and said, "Get in here." And he was
You
like,
need to do this with me.
he said, "I'll do
Yeah.
it." As well. Fun fact about Pacino in this movie. Okay, if there's a drug that you think Pacino is playing it like he's on, what would be that drug?
Speed.
Okay, good. Cocaine. Both both
Sure.
the same. Apparently
Some
he
kind of upper. Definitely not a downer.
No, apparently he said that he imagined that his character was on cocaine the entire time. And it's not necessarily in the script, but that's how he played the character, which
Interesting.
makes sense. In an interview with Al Pacino on the DVD special edition, Pacino revealed that for the scene in the restaurant between Hannah and Macaulay, De Niro felt that the scene should be not be rehearsed, so that the unfamiliarity between the two characters would seem more genuine, and that's how they shot it, with no rehearsals, which is pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
Overall themes for this movie, I want to talk about Michael Mann and the origin of the film, but like I think what makes this movie cool is just the overall, like I said, like when you talk when if you were to describe like not the plot of this movie, Lambert, but what would you say as far as what are the deeper talking points? What is Michael Mann trying to tell us with this film?
I mean, again, like I kind of joked about it at the beginning, but with the whole John Mulaney thing, but like these are two people that are very, very similar from a mentality perspective, from the drive, the attention to detail, the attention to detail, the you know, doing whatever it takes to get the job done. They're just on opposite sides of the law. In a different world, they could both be on the same side, or they could be on the complete flip side, where it's Pacino's character that's the bank robber because he's so focused, so driven, is out there all the time, 24/7, looking for scores, whatever. And then Robert De Niro's character is the exact same way. They're the same person.
Yeah.
They're just on different sides of the law.
it's such a fascinating way to like frame a movie and the way you tell a story that yeah, the like I don't know who the good guy is. I'm not sure I know who the bad guy is. And I think that changes throughout the course of the film.
Right. No,
And
it absolutely changes. I mean, from a Law and Order perspective, yeah, there's a clear side, but like the lines get blurred on both sides.
and also like not that there aren't movies and shows where I like Dexter comes to mind, and I know that like he's not a serial killer, De Niro, but he's definitely a murderer.
He's a murderer.
But there are moments in this movie where I am very sympathetic to him, and I want I at the end of the movie I turned to Jana and said, am I bad for like wanting De Niro to get away? Like I don't want him to get caught." It actually makes me sad that he gets caught. Now he deserves to get caught. He deserves to get killed or whatever, but I feel myself sympathizing with maybe characters. You're not, I mean, I know you're supposed to sympathize with them because they all
But I think that's the point
have a point, right? We all have different
that that
lives.
you that and again, I think that the what makes this movie powerful is because you do. He's the bad guy. There's no question about it. He's the bank robber. Everybody's trying to stop him, but at the end of the day, you do kind of like, maybe he should have been, it would have been, ah, he got away. We're glad he tied up the loose ends. We're glad he shoots Van Sant. He shoots Waingro. Like he gets his revenge. And you're happy that he gets it. Like you want him to kill Van Zandt. You want him to somehow make it through that maze of cops so that he can kill Waingro. And then he does, and you're like, good, that guy deserved it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that guy really did deserve
Oh,
it. But
yeah.
like
No, that guy was it,
Waingro deserved. I mean, both of them did, but Waingro really did.
it definitely shows like light, dark, but then everything in between. And
Hmm.
like okay, maybe he's bad, but also this guy's Wayne Grows way bad.
Yeah,
So, different levels of crime and punishment perhaps they deserve. But I, upon doing a lot of this research, I didn't realize that a lot of this movie was based on like actual characters. Did you know that?
did not know that.
So just a few things. First of all, the story is based on a person named Neil McCauley, who was apparently an Al ex-Alcatraz inmate, and he was tracked down by Detective Chuck Adamson in 1964, and went to Alcatraz, and that one, and was transferred to McNeil Island Corrections Center, which is mentioned in the film. I guess
Yep.
that's McCauley is apparently was in jail at one point. He's released in 1962 and immediately gets back to crimes, as they do. Apparently, Michael Perill and William Pinkerton used bolt cutters and drills to rob a manufacturing company of diamond drill bits, which is also recreated in the film. So like Michael Mann's taking things from real life. Pacino's character is based on Adamson, who apparently kept tabs on Macaulay's crew because he committed a bunch of crimes, and apparently they met for coffee once, and of course that was portrayed in the film.
The scene. Yep.
And again, this I know this is internet research, and so who knows how much this is really true, but I like to think of it as pretty accurate. Their
Right.
dialogue in the script is based on the conversation that Macaulay and Absent actually had, and the next time the two met, they had a shootout, which also happens in the movie. A few other things that are kind of parallels. There is an armored car robbery that happens. Macaulay did at one point in 1964. Um, and I guess there again a whole shootout happened. You can look it up, but they're the same thing. Like Adamson was plotting to catch him, and Macaulay didn't know that. It turned into this big gunfight in hold on, where is this actually happening? Which is super fascinating. Oh, it's in Chicago,
Okay.
which obviously it's in LA in this movie, but Adamson went on to have a successful career as a TV and film producer. And Mann's 2009 film Public Enemies is dedicated to Adamson's memory. So I mean, obviously there's a lot of research there. And, Michael Mann's a super fascinating character. And I don't want to get to like all of the things he did in his career. I'll get to that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
he's obviously best known for the movie Heat, but he also, Crime Story and Miami Vice, those are all films that like are pretty, pretty popular. A lot about LA stuff.
Yeah. Collateral.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Collateral. That's right.
Collateral's based in LA, and honestly, and it's not the same as Heat, but it's similar because you have Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, and Tom Cruise is a hired hitman, but then you kind of start to be like he makes like he's like, so are you just taking out the trash? Yeah, something like that. Like he's killing criminals. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's killing criminals for a drug lord, but like
But also, he's not a bad guy.
he's not he's not a bad, he's killing bad guys. Like well, I mean, he's killing innocent people and cops and too, but like but it's just kind of it's a very interesting piece because like a lot of that is them talking in a taxi cab as they drive around and he kills people. So
Yeah.
it's not the same, but it's the same in that it's an interesting character study
Yeah. And then,
between those two main actors.
well, a lot of this comes too from like my man's research. So if you didn't know this, like Nate, who's played by John Voight, he's based on an actual criminal turned author named Edward Bunker. And he was a consultant to man on this entire film, or at least on Heat. LA Takedown, which is also called LA Crime Wave and made in LA, is a 1989 American crime action film written and directed by Michael Mann, and it was filmed as the pilot for an NBC TV series. Eventually, that TV series gets scrapped and reworked, and it gets released on VHS on DVD. But that is the premise and what turns into this movie Heat in 1995. But here's who's in that TV show, LA Takedown. I thought this was pretty like fascinating because there's a lot of people in here. So you got Scott Plank. I don't really know Scott Plank and Alex McArthur, but Michael Rooker's in it, and
Okay.
Daniel Baldwin's also in it. And I guess Plank played Vincent Hanna. MacArthur plays McLaren, and then I guess maybe Michael Rooker plays like uh what's his name? Val Kilmer's character. Anyway,
Chris.
they're different character names. But anyway, I didn't realize it was actually a TV movie or TV series first, then it eventually turned into what we know as 1995 Seed. Before we move on to the categories, I think we need to make sure we mention and talk for a second about Val Kilmer.
Okay.
I mean, he just died, just passed away, unfortunately. Age of 65, had a um clearly a long lasting illness of throat cancer.
Yep.
Um, but like 1995 is, I don't want to step on like peak in the mountain, but I think let's talk real quick about 1995 for Val Kilmer. I mean, he does this movie, sure, but he also is in Batman Forever, which is that's a pretty big 95 for him. And apparently, Val Kilmer stated the main reason he chose to act in this film was that he wanted to be able to call Al Pacino and Robert De Niro Al and Bob for the rest of his life. So, and I don't know if that's true, but I really hope it is. And from all things considered, I think Val Kilmer was an incredible actor and maybe challenging to work on certain films from certain accounts. But you ask the people who really matter, I think they'll tell you, yeah, maybe he was intense, but it's because he really gave a shit and was just I don't know,
Yeah.
just an incredible actor. And I think that RIP, he was a big part of our lives growing up in film and or not movies, but I'm sorry, in film and movies. Um,
Yeah.
Val Kilmer is great in this movie. Let's talk more about him in a positive, right?
We'll talk about him, but yeah, I mean, he like we grew up on Val Kilmer,
Yeah.
whether it was like Willow or, I mean, again, we'll get to this, whether this movie, The Doors, Real Genius, like, I mean, like on to like, Top Gun Maverick, where he's in that. He's not speaking, but like,
Well, no, but I think it's interesting to think about Val Kilmer because you mentioned a lot of his like his leading character roles.
yeah,
But then I think what he's maybe most well known for are his secondary character roles. Like this movie, obviously you've got Tombstone,
Top,
Top
oh, Tombstone, Top
Gun,
Gun.
even
Yep.
Kiss Bang Bang later on in his career. So,
That movie's that movie's so good.
all right, okay.
That
So
movie's so good.
anyway, R.I.P. Val Kilmer. Let's get into the categories. According to IMDb, a group of high-end professional thieves start to feel the heat. Now, hold on. So this is in the IMDb. So they're punning it up right there. Start to feel the heat from the LAPD when they unknowingly leave a verbal clue at their latest heist. I think that's almost like too unnecessarily detailed, and I think the verbal clue I'm assuming is what's his name calling Wayne Green.
Slick.
That's
Slick.
that's got to be what it is.
It's gotta be it. Yeah.
This came out December 15th, 1995. Heck of a holiday film. At
Jeez. Yeah, no kidding.
a runtime of 2 hours and 50 minutes. So, question is always, upon the rewatch, did it feel like it was almost 3 hours long?
Yes.
It did. It really did. There are moments where
Yes, it does.
there's there
I
there.
have I have thoughts later about that, but yes, it absolutely felt every bit of 3 hours long.
I mean, you want to share them now? Because I don't remember this movie feeling that long, but there were stretches of this movie where I was like, man, this is like there's nothing happening. There's a lot of I'm sure necessary character development, I guess, for me to care about what's going on with the storylines, but there was a lot of I don't know. I feel like you could have cut out 20, 30 minutes of this and I
I
don't know.
feel like the biggest and I don't have any issues with it. I'll just but like my biggest critique of it is that the obvious climax of this movie is the bank robbery and then the ensuing ridiculous gunfight, which is super loud, but I love it because it's as loud as it needs to be because that's probably as loud as it would be if you were actually there.
Mhm.
Guns are loud. And so it's really loud, which is awesome. Very realistic. Um, and then there's like an hour left after the climax of the film.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, and I can appreciate the attention to detail of like they still need to get out. Like Chris still needs to get help. Robert De Niro still needs to get out. He still wants to get both those guys. He said it before they even did this. He was like, "No, don't worry about like I'll get them. I'm worried about this right now." So like all the tying up the loose ends and all trying to figure out because like, you know, how can I, I need a new out. How do you know it's burned? How can I trust it? Very good point. So like that all stuff takes time and everything, but man, it just like
What
you could have probably cut that in half and still like done that. But I'm also not a filmmaker, so like
well,
take my opinion with a
I don't even
giant grain of salt. But it just felt like it drug on a little too long at the end.
yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I do think the part for me though that yeah, it was like the fight happens and I'm like, "Oh, there's 45 minutes or whatever it is left in this movie." I forgot that all these things happen
I forgot how it ended.
I do like those aspects of it, but I did think that there was a ton of time between the heist on the armored car and then the final bank heist. And I get that you're doing a lot of planning, but it seemed like there was I don't know. I just feel like there were moments that I'm not saying I want to get rid of like all the Pacino at home stuff because I think
Yeah, because they're humanizing him. Like all the like the drama between Chris and Charlene, is that her name? Ashley Judd's character. Like that drama and like kind of on like giving them a little bit more depth and like kind of where that's at because then it's at the end when she waves him off, like it means a little bit more and like the drama with Al Pacino and then eventually with Natalie Portman and everything that happens with her. And it's like, but it's like he goes home and she's getting ready. Where are we going? She doesn't say anything. Where are you going? Out. And then he leaves and he thinks about doing the dishes and then he's like, screw this, I'm out of here. Like, like really?
they were
I get it. Like they have a troubled and not a hostile relationship, but a relationship that is bound to fail.
there are chunks of this movie that I think lend itself much better to a series
A
than
montage.
Or montage, sure. I love a good montage.
I
I'm
love a good montage.
really mad about that.
I don't know, but again, like I can't fault it because there's reasons for all of that stuff to happen. It's just could you shrink it down a little bit and still get to the point? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, it may not have worked, but
Again, I don't make movies, so maybe that would have been an impossible task, and there's a reason why all of that was in there and that it's almost 3 hours long.
I think usually you go the other way too. You get like the theatrical cut, which is the 2 hour, 15-minute version, and then the director's cut is the two.
Which is like 4 hours long. What's the director's cut of this? Holy shit.
I
Can you
wonder.
imagine?
I was wondering what it is. Uh, budget of $60 million estimated, grossed over $187 million, which is pretty incredible. Some awards: 1996 nominee for Saturn Best Action and Adventure Film, and then also for the Saturn Best Supporting Actor, Val Kilmer. BS rankings: Rotten Tomatoes on the Tomato Meter, which is the critics gave it an 84, and the Popcorn Meter, which is the audience, gave it a 94. Those numbers kind of check out a little bit for me.
I think so.
And IMDb gave it an 8.2. Not bad for those curmudgeon fucks on IMDb.
No, actually pretty good.
Pretty good, right? The Spielberg Award for directing and writing, but I've got these split up because they do. He wrote and directed a few different things. He directed Manhunter, Last of the Mohicans. We didn't even mention half these earlier. The Insider, Ali, Collateral, and then again the aforementioned Miami Vice.
Very nice. Yeah.
But he also wrote the Tarantino Award, Starsky and Hutch, 4 episodes of that show, which I thought was fun. And then he also wrote Manhunter, Last Mohicans, The Insider, Ali, and Miami Vice. So I think he kind of started with TV and then transitioned into film.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks Award for Best Leading Role. Al Pacino plays Vincent Hanna. Robert De Niro plays Neil McCauley. I'm curious. This is a pretty hard question to answer. Who do you like better in this movie?
I like Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I mean,
I
he's
think, and again, like you kind of mentioned it before of like him playing the character like he's on cocaine the whole time, and like he can be a little bit over the top. He can be a little bit much, but again, that's the character that he's playing, so I get it. Whereas, Robert De Niro is just really calm, cool, calculated,
yeah.
doesn't get flustered, is singularly focused. And again, Al Pacino is as well, but like just in a different manner. So he's just cooler.
Yeah.
De Niro.
He's fucking jacked too in this movie. Like he's like there's a couple of scenes where he took a shirt off. I'm like, good for you, man. Like, I mean, he's got to be 50 in this movie, or I think he is like close to
Mid 50s. Yeah.
4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Pacino has the best lines and he has the best over the top delivery.
He absolutely does.
And
100%.
and learning that he did it thinking that he's on cocaine checks out.
Love it.
But yeah, I agree with you. De Niro he's just the coolest guy on screen the whole time.
He really is.
The other 4 Jacksons, Val Kilmer plays Chris Shiherlis. I don't know how you actually pronounce. I don't think
Shirtless?
Shiherlis.
Sure. Sure.
I'm not even sure they ever say his name, but John Voight plays Nate. Tom Sizemore plays Michael Chirito, who also passed away in 2023 at the age of 61. Ashley Judd plays Charlene, last name we have said already. And Kevin Gage plays Wayne Grow. If you don't know who Kevin Gage is, I had to look this up because I actually thought he looked a little bit like, um, what's his name from uh,
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs? Yeah,
Buffalo Bill. Yeah. Well,
but
I can't remember. I know that. I don't know that. No, it's
he's
been a
not.
while.
But no, but he's in that. He's in the movie too.
Yeah.
I just said his name earlier today, and I am mad I can't think of it right now. But anyway, he's also in G.I. Jane, Con Air, and Below. Ted Levine is his name. Ted Levine plays Buffalo Bill,
Yeah.
but he looks like him though. You know
He
what?
looks just
You know
like
what?
him.
Let's throw Ted Levine in this category too. Ted Levine plays Bosco, who's basically Pacino's like right hand man.
Yeah. And he gets shot.
That's a fun. He does. He gets
He
fucking.
gets killed.
I'll
Chris
go.
kills him.
I'll go first on this one. I think that the right answer is Val Kilmer,
Yep.
But I'm gonna just put in a plug for Tom Sizemore. I really like Tom Sizemore in this movie. He's maybe the most normal he is. Like he's been in film, I think. I don't know. I just feel like he also is a pretty cool, calm, collected character in this movie. Um, I don't know. I like what Tom Sizemore is doing on the screen. Val Kilmer is the right answer though.
Val Kilmer is the right answer. I mean, and I will. It is the right answer, but I'll give a shout out for Kevin Gage. I'll give a shout out for
Yeah.
Waingro just because he played that character pretty pretty damn well because he kind of because it's interesting because he kind of morphs into different things because he's this right like he's the fifth wheel of this crew that's been working together for a really long time, and like I love Tom Sizemore in that first scene where he's just like shut up, like like we're working right now. This is work for us. Like I don't need this. I don't need this small talk shit. Like
Yeah, we're not
we're
buddies.
working right now. And then and then they try to kill him, and then he turns into a serial killer. Okay, like where did that come from? And like you kind of see this dark, twisted side in that scene, and then he kind of turns into this, and then he turns into a snitch who's literally like hiding for his life.
Yeah. No, he does have a lot of different characters. You're right in this movie.
Right. That's a pretty layered character for someone who's not really like but he's central, but he is central to the plot for real.
I completely forgot about the prostitute
So
or
did I. I forgot it was like, oh,
that whole
like
storyline.
he turned dark fast in that scene, and I'm like, oh, I forgot that this happened. And then you hear them, you Vince gets called in, and like, and you realize that it's a series of murders of the same style. And it's like, oh, so this guy's just out here killing people. Like he's just a criminal.
Yeah, no, I'm like that's what's funny is that that's never mentioned again. They just kind
Nope.
of move on past that, and I guess you're supposed to, as the viewer, internalize like that this he's a bad man.
And that's why when he dies at the end, you don't feel bad. You almost feel good for you. You feel good that he's gone, and you feel good for Neil that he got him.
Oh no, you feel very good.
Yeah.
Uh, That's
So
like the
that's
most rewarding moment of the movie, as far as I'm
right.
concerned.
So again, Val Kilmer, correct answer, but shout out Kevin Gage.
Yeah, that's a good call. Backup singers. I remembered some of these people being in this movie, but some of them have like really small parts. So Dennis Haysbert plays Breeden.
Hmm.
Fickner plays Van Zant. Natalie Portman plays Lauren. Now, this is interesting. Like, this is actually her second film, Natalie Portman. Obviously, Leon is her first breakout movie, which is like
Such a good movie.
a year or two before that, I think, 93, 92.
94.
But talk about like her two first movies being Leon and Heat. It's pretty
Well,
crazy.
and like and who she's working with. Like she's on screen with Gary Oldman and Al Pacino
That's
in
one
her first two movies.
hell of a way. And then she jumps into Star Wars. It's a great way to start her
Damn.
career. Hank Azaria plays Marciano, and Jeremy Piven. I definitely forgot he was in this movie. Plays
I don't think I forgot that he was in this movie, but he was good. The one thing I'll say about him is it's amazing that he has more hair now than he did then.
yeah, yeah, it's true. Modern
True.
modern science is great. So it's kind of hard not to say. I think the best actor in this movie is, or in this group of people, is Natalie Portman.
He probably turns out to be, but
I,
I go
I
with
mean, personally, for me, I would pick William Fichtner. I really like like him a lot.
I like Dennis Haysbert.
Yeah, he's good.
I think he's again like none of these people really have a lot of scenes.
I think Dennis Haysbert's good because it's the one that was like, oh shit, that's Dennis Haysbert. More than the rest of the
Right.
bit part people.
It's like, oh man, that's Joe Boo. No.
No, it's kind of pretty much it. The John Williams category, Elliot Goldenthal did the music, and Elliot won the actually Academy Award for uh, composition, original music score for Frida. in 2002 and Across the Universe in 2007. So Elliot's won a ton of awards before. What's nice about the music in this and that it's not honestly it's not super noticeable, which I think sometimes is a good thing.
No, but I like it because like especially and this it didn't trigger me, but like the music at the beginning of the heist, like when they're getting ready to do it, I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
you know it's about to go down based on what the music. But I mean, you know what's going to happen, but like the music fits it so well.
It's like a slow build, but it's also like kind of like
Yeah,
intense. And then
yeah,
and the music at the last like shootout scene too is pretty great.
yep.
Okay, let's get into the scenes to nerd out on. So maybe this is going to be a little bit telling as far as how well paced the film is upon rewatches, because I didn't write down as many scenes for this as I usually do. And for almost a 3 hour movie, I've only got a dozen scenes.
Let's see how many I want to. I have 12 as well. Well,
Okay,
interesting.
let's see what we got. Scene one, I wrote down opening armored car heist.
Opening robbery. Yep.
Okay. Then I wrote down crime scene after the robbery.
I wrote down investigation begins.
Okay. Scene three, diner and Wayne Grow escapes. All right.
Check.
Scene four, the failed drop.
Package delivery from Van Zant is what I wrote down.
Okay. Didn't work out well. Then I've got the walk away robbery.
Attempted robbery.
Okay. And then I've got they're looking at the LAPD.
Yep. I prepping for the bank and making the LAPD because
That's
he
what I
was the
wrote.
guy. We just got
We
made.
just got made. Okay. So far, 6 for 6. Then I wrote down just the diner,
The meat,
the meat. Yeah, that's the
the
meat.
meat, the meat. MEET, the meat.
I hope we have all the same scenes. It's great. The next scene I had just had wrote down bank heist, that
Yep.
whole heist there. And then you're right. Then you're like, okay, that's the peak. And then we still got like another 45 minutes to an
I
hour.
got a long time after the peak.
But I actually put the shootout chase as the next scene. I feel like the heist itself and the shootout are two different parts.
I combined all of that.
Okay, all right. So you're gonna have an extra one than me. 'Cause I feel like the heist is like so orchestrated and they get out and everyone's happy. And then they're walking to the car and fucking guns ablazing. I had those two
And
separated.
that's such a great like because you see him and he's smiling and he catches a glimpse and like he's smiling and he's shooting in a second.
Chris,
It's
yeah, he's just
yeah, it's such a good turn of and then he's up and rocking and then it's no turning back.
doesn't even pause. Yeah.
Nope.
So the next scene I had was Van Zant getting killed.
Yep.
Okay. Then I had the hotel and killing of Waingro.
Okay.
I think you had one before me, and I think it's the one.
I have two before you.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had the hotel and killing of Waingro, and then I had the Neil and Vincent like just
Like
final final.
the final confrontation. The only other two that I had Chris leaving where he tries to go get Charlene and she just
Oh yeah. Okay.
very subtly waves him off and then they check him out and then he leaves because it's a whole I mean I was just, again a kind of a build and then the attempted suicide with Natalie Portman.
Yeah, I
That hospital scene like because that's
it's an important scene. I
it's an
purposely
important scene in that like he he cares for her but like you can see how much he cares for her. It kind of again humanizing him of not just more than a cop and then you have like a real kind of human moment between him and his wife
yeah,
where she's like go
yeah.
because and they even talk about like this isn't going to work out. He was like you don't want to end up with me like you don't want me and she's like do you think because she cheats on him it's like are we ever going to work it out and he's like you don't want to be with me and then she just like I got this get out of here and then he goes and does what he does.
It's like a really good human moment that even though we're like fighting and getting divorced, like we care about this person and we care about each other. So
Right. And I want you to be you and she wants him to be him.
yeah.
So go do it. Go do your thing. Yep.
Okay, so what's your favorite scene?
There is, I mean, is there a, it's the bank robbery. Of course it's the bank robbery. There's and there's a lot of good scenes that opening like again like the opening robbery scene of them just kind of like you get just grabbing the audience's attention of like just kind of that's great.
It's such a, I mean, they do such a great job of setting the tone of they are such professionals. They are the best at this. And even when now Wayne Grove fucks it up and then they have to and even like when they signal quickly, yeah, kill the other guy. You got to kill him. Like
Yeah,
that's
and then it's explained later like and then like again you kind of see you see Al Pacino's character and how good he is
you know what it
because
had?
he's like this guy did this, yeah, and they're like why leave a witness? These are already two capital murders. What's another one? Done.
It had a Boondock Saints vibe to it if they had been doing them simultaneously.
It really it would have been.
Like, yeah,
It
I'm
would have
like, I'm
been.
like, and then that, but that's important though, because it's also setting the stage for like clearly Pacino is fucking good at his
He
job.
is he is a very good detective and he knows what he's doing, especially when it comes to what he does, which is homicide and robbery.
Yeah. Uh,
And I think the other thing was like I think it was during that one where like even like the the ranking officer was like, "You want it?" He was like, "Well, these aren't gangbangers, like whatever." He was like, "You're damn right, I'm gonna take it." Like it's not, "Oh yeah, you take it," blah blah blah. It's like, "Nope, it's mine.
yeah.
Like this is mine. This is what I do." So it just kind of reinforces that attitude.
Yeah. Totally. No, you're right. Those are the best two scenes, like the bank heist, and the overall shootout. I'm gonna say the most satisfying scenes for me are Van Zandt
Van Sant and Wingro.
and Waco. Like I was like, yeah, fucking get him, Neil. Like gun those fuckers down. They both deserve it. Like they fucked your life up. You could be home scot free. No one would have had to die, as far as I'm concerned, and they fucked it up. So, I mean, that's the other level of this. I hadn't really thought about till just now, but I know that Neil has killed people, but both moments that he has to kill people or tell someone to be killed are directly because of Wangro and Van Zant.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
he's
if
such a
Waingro doesn't join that first job, or even better, like if Waingro doesn't say, "Oh, he was making a move," which the guy clearly was not making a move,
no.
none of this happens.
He goes, "You see that blood out of their ears, genius? They can't hear you."
Another Tom Sizemore,
Yeah.
gotta love him,
Yeah, that was great. And then, yeah,
but
so Waingro doesn't do that. And then Van Zant doesn't basically like try to act like a tough mob boss, like, oh, I guess it's okay to steal from me. And then Waingro doesn't rat on him later on. Macaulay
Waingro,
doesn't.
none of this happens.
No one
They
dies.
get away with that one, they get away with the bank, and then we don't have a movie.
Yeah, that's
It's a
true.
very that's a good call out, man.
New movie.
That's that whole like that's that whole like well, it's kind of a different one, but the whole like had 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 Harrison Ford not been in Raiders of the Lost Ark, like the Nazis would have found it. They would have found it one way or another. He just kept getting in their way.
That's Big Bang Theory. Like,
That's Big Bang
he
Theory.
didn't
Yep.
do anything.
He didn't do anything. They
And
would
they're
nope,
like,
still would have got it, still would have got it, still would have got and then yeah,
mind
the
blown.
glass gets shattered. Anyways, sorry.
No, it's true. Okay, the Heath Ledger Award for scene stealing. I I think that, I think that, I don't know. I'm just gonna say my nominee. I only have one person. I have De Niro, and I'm only saying that because of the way that Pacino and De Niro play against each other. I actually like the subtleness of the way De Niro plays it. And I think that because he's so quiet, calm, and collected and calculating, he actually his silence steals the scenes. Pacino is the most flamboyant for sure.
He he and I wrote them both down. Um,
Yeah,
but again, like you said, like they're stealing scenes in different ways. And they're only in one scene together. Well, two, I take that back, two, but really just one. Because the other one they're shooting at each other. So like they're not really I
not
mean
really.
they kind of talk at the end, like at the very, very, very end. Told you I wasn't going back. Um
Yeah, they just hold hands. I mean, that's really it.
yeah, exactly. But Pacino, you're keeping your eyes on him because you kind of don't know what he's going to do, but you know he like they're both running the show for their respective organizations. So
Mhm.
when it's a cop scene, you're always looking at him because he's directing the team. He's the smartest guy in the room. He knows what's going to happen. He's going to tell you this and this and this. And then the flip side of that is Robert De Niro, the exact same thing. Smartest guy in the room, running the show, sees all the angles. So it's just
Yeah.
there. If there were ever a case where we would say both, you could say both.
I think they both steal scenes from anyone else on the screen, but I think when they're together,
But
I think Nero wins.
I agree.
Okay. All right. All right. Dante's Peak. First nominees I have are I just put Pacino and De Niro together. Since we're talking about that already, let's just kind of segue right into that. They're only in four movies together. And the four movies are Godfather Part 2, which they're not on screen together, but
Right.
obviously that's a pretty big, important movie in 1974. This is in 1995, a movie called Righteous Kill in 2008.
Heard of it, never seen it.
Me neither. And then The Irishman in 2019.
I never
Pretty,
saw that either. I
pretty,
probably need to.
pretty big Netflix movie.
And it's very long.
It's very
That's what I
long.
heard.
That's like a 3 hour or something movie too.
You
I think it's between this and Heat. Yeah,
mean this and Godfather? This is Heat.
I'm sorry. This and Godfather Part 2. Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at Godfather Part 2 on the screen. I think that if it's critical acclaim and just them being in the same movie, the answer is
It's
Godfather.
Godfather Part Two because it's
If it's them on,
widely considered one of the best movies of all time.
yeah. But if it's them together on screen, obviously it's got to be Heat.
I agree.
Val Kilmer. I think that we've maybe litigated this before, but I think let's do it again just for fun.
Yeah, we might have.
You mentioned a lot of these. I think maybe we did this when we were talking about.
I think he's got it. We probably landed on like commercial success, but then also like critical acclaim because it's those are probably two different things when you talk about, especially when you look at his like his resume because
Yeah.
he's been in some blockbuster movies, but like the biggest movies that he's been in, he wasn't the man. He was part of an ensemble. This included. But then you have some of the ones where he was the man in like
Well,
The Doors.
I think this is three different categories, frankly, and I think the first two are obvious. I think the first one is if it's critical acclaim, it's got to be The Doors. I
It's
mean,
got to be The Doors.
I know that like no, I don't even have to talk about it. It's The Doors.
No, we don't have to. It's The Doors.
He
That's
should
fine.
have
Yeah.
he should have won Best Actor or at least be nominated, but he wasn't. But Batman Forever, that's box office.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another movie on here that even gets close to the amount of money that he made.
I mean, it's Batman.
Right. Now, what is he most known for? That's a different conversation.
Probably Tombstone.
Yeah, right. So, and I think some of the ones that are I think they're not his main part. So like, or he's not the main character. So Top Secret and Real Genius 84 and 85 and Willow in 88, like he's the main guy.
Forgot about Top Secret. God, that movie's so good.
Uh, Top Secret. And I love Real Genius too, man. I mean that popcorn in the house, like that's one of the best endings to a movie in comedy. But he does Top Gun in 86. I mean, that's got to be I think that's on the Rushmore
It
of
is. It's absolutely on the Rushmore because it's
Tombstone's on the Rushmore. That's 93. Um, I forgot about the Saint. The Saint, he's the main guy, and I really love the Saint. I think that
I've seen The Saint so many times just because it was on HBO all the time growing up. Like I've seen that movie an obscene amount of times.
I think that movie's ahead of its time. I think that if he does that 5 to 10 years later, I think it's like a Bourne movie, and it's like a
Well, it's like Bourne, it's like Mission Impossible,
yeah.
it's all of those because it's a singular, it's 007, like it's a singular
For
character
whatever
that can
for
just do
whatever
whatever the hell he
reason,
wants to.
maybe we do an episode on the Saint at some point, but for whatever, and so we can do some research on it. But for whatever reason, they didn't pursue additional movies of this, and I think that if they had hit that IP time with all the blockbusters and let's re-up it with sequels, I think that would have been his legacy for sure. Because he's
That could have been his franchise for sure.
yeah. Prince of Egypt is a 98, pretty big movie. And even though he's a voice actor, it's
Okay, yeah.
he plays the Pharaoh, kind of a big deal. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang kind of comes back, right? And that's an '05, and I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
I cannot recommend them. Like him,
So
Robert Downey Jr. Again, Robert Downey Jr. kind of making a comeback in that one too, and like it's just so good.
and I just wanted to mention, even though I know that's not his peak, but I think that people younger than us they might know him, maybe not the most, but again, this might be on their Rushmore. Is he's in MacGruber? He's he's the
Is
bad guy.
he really?
The bad guy in MacGruber, I've heard people say that, like, oh, the guy from MacGruber. I'm like, why is that
I'm
your
sorry, what? Like that's
why
what
is that
you
your
think of?
reference?
Well,
So
that's like a friend of the show, Pascal. That's a Pascal reference. That is that's a total Pascal. That's what he would be like. Oh, you mean the guy in MacGruber? Are
yeah.
you fucking kidding me?
Oh,
That's the movie you pull when you think of that actor?
yeah. Oh, Val Kilmer. Oh, Ghost in the Darkness. Yeah,
That's another
that,
God.
that's the one.
That's a great movie. I
Uh,
don't care what anybody says. It's a fucking great movie.
it is good. It's pretty good. So I think Tombstone, right? Most well known.
It's Tombstone. I
Yeah,
actually went to the go to the Field Museum in Chicago. Those lines are there. I'm just saying.
yeah. Fuck
I've
yeah.
seen them. Anyways,
Tom Sizemore, he has 243 credits. That's
been
fucking.
a lot of shit, man.
I forgot I meant to ask you over and under, and I think you would have guessed the under just because
I would have never thought that he was in that much.
that's a
That's
lot.
like Steve Buscemi levels.
It is, right? Um, but he's in some pretty good bangers, man. And like the '90s is when like it's all the '90s and early 2000s. Let me just rattle off a couple. Passenger 57 in '92, Heart and Souls, which Jana loves in '93, True Romance '93, Striking Distance '93. You ever seen Striking Distance?
Nope.
It's got Bruce Willis in it. I think it's underrated. Wyatt Earp '94,
Yep.
Natural Born Killers '94.
Yep.
This is the '95. Saving Private Ryan '98, Enemy of the State '98, Pearl Harbor '01, Black Hawk Down '01, and then Big Trouble in '02. And I put Big Trouble on there only because I think he's like the star in Big Trouble.
I forgot he was in Black Hawk. He was a badass in Black Hawk Down.
He was.
He really was.
After rattling all those off, I wonder if are there more you want to nominate, or is there a your favorite role versus his most well-known role?
I mean, I think Saving Private Ryan.
I think you're right. I was
Like
gonna say
that's kind of like what I default to. But like again, you mentioned like obviously Wyatt Earp because we were just talking about Tombstone and Val Kilmer, and those movies came out like the same time.
yeah.
Um, yeah, thinking that one too.
I think Saving Private Ryan is his most well known, and it actually might be his best role. I think he's really good in Natural Born Killers, and also good in True Romance and Black Hawk Down. But yeah, it's hard not to say Saving Private Ryan.
It's
He's
hard not to say that. Yeah,
so like when he gets shot in the ass and is fucking pissed and just stomping around, just starts shooting like shooting behind him at whatever. Uh,
right.
I mean, there's so many great moments with that, but that was like a weird comedic spin on someone getting shot in war, and he plays it really well. L.A. movies. I've got actually quite a lot of movies here that I want to rattle off, but is there a movie that like makes you think of LA before I even go through this list?
Um, and again, it was kind of like it's kind of name association, but the first movie I wrote down was Collateral. Again, it's
Yeah.
another Michael Mann movie, one that I've seen numerous times, nominated for several awards, a great movie. So that was the first one that I thought of. And then like some of the other ones, like the next one I thought of just because it's in the name was LA Confidential.
Yeah, LA Confidential's on my list for sure.
LA Confidential, and then I started and again, name association, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep, obviously, right
It's
there.
in LA. There is only one correct answer, but I'll let you keep going.
Okay, all right, I've got a lot here. Sunset Boulevard. I wanted to go back. I
Oh
want
yeah, see, yeah, yeah, you got to go
to go
back.
back for my Aunt Karen, and I think she'll appreciate this, even though I'm not going back that far. But Sunset Boulevard is in 1950, obviously a very well-known movie about LA. Chinatown, also a very well-known movie about LA and the water drought, or planned water, 1974. Blade Runner is in 1982, and it's set in what's called the City of Angels, which is circa 2019. So Blade Runner is supposed to take place in LA in 2019. Luckily,
Jesus.
it didn't happen to us.
No, that didn't happen.
Beverly Hills Cop.
No, that's a good one.
I guess while I'm thinking about it, Beverly Hills Ninja. Let's not forget about that also in the 90s. uh,
So let's not forget about Troop Beverly Hills
and Trooper
or the Beverly Hillbillies.
Jana would be mad if I didn't mention Troop Beverly Hills for sure.
Yep,
Boys in the Hood, 91. LA Story is 91 also. Speed takes place in LA, 94.
yep,
Friday, 95. Clueless, 95. This, 95. Swingers, 96. You already said LA Confidential, 97. Boogie Nights is also takes place
LA. That's LA. Yeah,
97. Big Lebowski, 98.
that's the right answer.
Training Day, 2001. Mulholland Drive, 2001. Now hold on. Crash, 2004. Here's two big hitters. Crash in '04, Best Picture. La La Land.
Don't get friend of the show, Brian. Don't get him started on Crash.
He loves it.
He loves it so much.
2016 is La La Land. So
Okay.
I think there's a lot of good nominees on here. As far as the peak, I mean, I'll go first. I think that I mean, the mid to late 90s is basically when they rattle off like seven or eight LA movies that are just like LA becomes like I don't want to say second character, but like it's pivotal that they're in Hollywood or in the LA,
Right.
whatever it is, area.
Because a lot of times you're filming in other places, but you're calling it somewhere else.
Right.
And
Uh,
those kind of like it kind of ebbs and flows where like everything's filmed in St. Louis because that's like the hot location. Then it's Atlanta, and then um, Dark Knight was filmed in Pittsburgh.
yeah.
I think the first one was filmed in Chicago, and like, but it's Gotham City or whatever. But yeah, yeah, they're filming in LA, and you want to know it's in LA. Like
Mhm.
you don't want to call, you know, Vancouver, Russia. You want to call LA, LA. You
Right.
missed one, and it's a very good one. It's
What is it?
it's the clear peak of the mountain, and it's Hollywood Homicide
Hollywood Homicide.
with Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a good one.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not even sure.
The 90s, yeah, that mid to late 90s with that run of all of those movies, including some that are near and dear to our hearts, like The Big Lebowski.
From 91 to 2001, there's like a dozen movies, and then there's like maybe a half dozen big ones other than that. So like it's
Right,
basically the 90s.
right, and like and another movie that I think of with LA, but you can't really call it an LA movie because it's not always in LA. Usual Suspects. I think of LA when I think Usual Suspects. It's split, but like
But that's in the mid 90 or 97, right?
95.
Right. Oh, is that? Oh, so yeah, there you go. Oh, so I think 95, 96 is actually, if I want to give you more specific,
It,
is
it might be, yeah.
goes Friday, Clueless, this, and Swingers. Like that's, I mean, talk about four different types of movies.
And wildly different.
Let's call it, and again, yeah, so let's just say 95, 96.
I like it.
Okay. Um, Last peak, movies about heists. There's a
I
lot.
have a I have a singular answer for this.
Okay, well, let me rattle off the
You,
list, and
you
then,
rattle them off.
or do you want to say your answer first, and then I'll try and convince you otherwise.
I'll say my answer first. That's fine. I think it's Ocean's 11.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably the right answer. Let me say some other ones. First,
The remake, not the original. I
I'm not
should
sure I'm gonna be able,
specify.
I'm not sure I'll be able to talk you out of that.
I mean, and I was thinking about a lot because there's a ton of good heist movies, and you'll probably rattle off most of the ones that are in my brain. But like, I started thinking about all of them, and then I got to Ocean's 11, and then I just stopped because I'm like, this is
Yeah.
That's probably that's probably it. But there are a ton of good ones.
Let me say some old school ones because, you know, the heist film has been around for a long time, and I think Ocean's 11 perfected it, and they made it funny and clever and
And a blockbuster of a movie commercially, like
not
it checked all the boxes.
not to mention 11 of like the biggest actors in the world, actors and actors.
Right.
But having said that, there's
Anyways,
build-ups. So the Lady Killers is actually the original Lady Killers, not the one that was made later on. This is the
with
1995,
Tom
1955,
Hanks,
not the Tom Hanks version.
not the Tom Hanks movie.
This is the 1955 version. The Pink Panther that started the
Okay.
original is in 1963. That's essentially a detective heist series. The Sting, kind of a big deal, 1973.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yep.
The Taking of Pelham 123, again, the first one comes in 1974. And then Dog Day Afternoon. I mean, I think that's the peak for critical acclaim. I mean, that movie was nominated for a ton of awards.
I thought of another really good one, but keep going.
That's in 75. Fish Called Wanda is in 1988, which I
Great movie.
so funny.
Great movie.
Reservoir Dogs is maybe one of my favorites on this list. Now, we don't get to see the heist, so I guess it's kind of hard to call it a heist movie, but the premise is they just botched a heist or a robbery. 1992. This is in 95. And also Usual Suspects is 95. Already mentioned that. Out of Sight, 98. George Clooney.
George Clooney, J-Lo.
And George Clooney, Ocean's 11, 01. Inside Man is actually maybe my favorite, like
It's a good one.
full blown, like you're in the heist, and it's such a clever way that they wrap the ending up for that.
That's
That's
a good one.
that's an OC.
Denzel's good in that one. Everybody's good in that one.
And then 2010 has two pretty big ones, The Town and also Inception. You don't think of
Mhm.
Inception as a heist movie, but it's a
It is.
mind
It's a
heist.
reverse heist. You're
Did you?
breaking into someone's mind to put something there instead of take something out.
Yeah. So you said you had another nominee.
Swordfish.
Well, what is that? Is that not 2001 maybe?
That was 2001. And then what was the one with I can't remember its name, the one with Rene Russo and Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, Thomas Crown Affair.
Yeah, that's a good one
That's a
too.
really good one. And I think
That's a really good one.
that might be 2001 or 99 or
Yeah,
something like that
that
too.
was another one that I thought of.
Oh, I like that. That's one of my I love Thomas Crown Affair is and that's a remake.
Very well. And then another one, it's an obvious one, and it's been remade Italian Job.
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
was another one that I thought of too.
these are all like really awesome remakes too.
There's a lot of good bank robbery kind of heist movies.
I do think it depends on like what is your vibe too. Because if you like want like a dark heist, I think it might be this or it might be Usual Suspects, and that's the same year, 95.
Right.
But as far as like name, if someone said you name the best robbery movie, if you were born in the last 30 years, you're gonna say Ocean's 11.
You're going to say Ocean's 11.
Yeah, hard not to say. That's the answer.
Hard not to say it.
Quoth the Raven. I'll start. I've got one from this is one of the most badass quotes I think in the movie and maybe ever. When Macaulay's talking to Van Zant, and
Yeah.
Van Zant says,
Oh,
what are you
yeah.
doing?" And Macaulay says, "What am I doing? Talking to an empty telephone. I don't understand, because there's a dead man on the other end of this fucking line." And he just hangs up. I was like, "Oh, that's fucking badass."
That's a good one. They have some good, yeah. Yeah, they have some good lines.
It made me remember. By the way, it made me. I forgot to mention that Van Zant's like right hand man is fucking Henry
It's
Rollins.
Henry Rollins. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, we probably should have mentioned that
I
before.
haven't mentioned that before. That was you know what that's up there as far as like backup singer, as far as like, oh shit, that's when Henry Rollins was trying to be an actor. There he is, and he's fucking jacked. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, he's jacked. Um, Another one from Macaulay, and he repeats this a few times in the movie. So don't let yourself get attached to anything you're not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. Because that's the rule he lives by
Right.
until he doesn't.
That's true. And he does not
and he does not live.
because he tried. But you know what? That I mean that I think that's part of the reason why maybe you feel so bad about Macaulay dying is that he doesn't live. He didn't abide by his rule, but he also did it to kill Wayne Groves, a rat, but also a fucking serial killer. So, so you're
Well,
like,
and he realized that like, hey, maybe that's no way to live.
right.
Maybe I'm like he was finally like I mean that was his last job. Like he was going to do that one and then he was done. And he realized once I'm done, like I can actually maybe, have a life with someone.
Well, but he walks away from Edie too. Like, I mean, like, so he kind of like
He
he
does because he sees Vincent.
yeah. Again, another reason why Neil's the best. Who? Who? What are you, a fucking owl? If you say a quote from Vincent Hanna, you have to do it as
You
best.
really have to like scream it. So like here's another one. And again, this is just kind of the over the top like he's kind of crazy where he just starts screaming, "Give me all you got! Give me all you got!" And I'm like, why are you screaming?
It
Like
was out of
just
nowhere. Out of nowhere. It would talk about like over the top
just
acting. Like
fucking
he was getting wild. Well, let's stick with it. We already kind of mentioned this quote a little bit. Us, the LAPD, police department. We just got made. Like I can't do the high part, but I can do like the low part. We just got made.
we just got made.
Wow, we just got made.
Um I talked about um it's kind of a continuation of the first one that I did. And again, it's very like when he's talking to the snitch and he walks away and he just kind of turns around. He's like, "Don't waste my motherfucking time." And then I'm like, who is this person?
I
Like,
know.
he's a
He's
cartoon character
cartoon
sometimes
character on cocaine.
on cocaine.
Well, let's do one more. Why'd I get mixed up with that bitch? Because she's got a great ass. You got your head all the way up it.
All the way up it.
Ferocious, aren't I? When I think of asses, a woman's ass, something comes out of me.
Hoo-ah! And that's where that comes from.
Fucking, fucking yeah, it does.
For percent of a woman.
He's like, I really like that character. I'm gonna continue it into
I'm
Heat.
gonna continue that. Like, that's good. I'm gonna take pieces of Vince
Yeah.
and I'm gonna put him in Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade.
Uh,
Another one. This is one from Macaulay. I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best. Try to stop guys like me.
yeah. There's a, I mean, there's a lot of back and
There's a
forth.
lot of good back and forth right
You could
there.
just
Yeah.
read the entire like script from those two.
You really could.
So I'm gonna say I got one more quote. It's my favorite of the movie, and it's Michael Cheritto, and he says, "Well, you know what? For me, the action is the juice." I
I'm
think
in.
I think that's such a fucking badass line. Like,
Well, and he kind of sets it up with like with Macaulay basically telling him like you don't need to do this. Like you're set.
got a
You've been
family, you got a
smart
wife.
with your money. Of like you got your like he mentions like T-bills and stocks and blah 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Like
The action's
I'm
what matters. I'm
I'm
here
an
for the action.
I'm an adrenaline junkie and like I'm doing this.
What a fucking cool way to say it. The action is
Yeah,
the juice.
the action is the juice.
All right, you got any more?
Nope.
All right, cool. You're canceled. The only thing that I could think of when I was watching this movie that I would do differently, and it would only be an advancement of technology, I like the gigantic box TVs and computers and pagers were just glaring the entire movie. That was the only part that took me out of it a little bit. I'm like, man, Vincent's really pissed about what's his name watching like
Watching his TV, I was just thinking about the
he
exact
takes
same
this
scene. It's
fucking
like
thing out. I'm like,
I
God,
was
what
like,
a clunker that would have been to care. Like that's
well, and just like the dialogue of them like referring to it as a like she referred to it as put the television set down.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
well, that's
so a
that's
little dialogue tweak too, but like, yeah, for sure.
and the payphones and like I mean I get nostalgic for payphones sometimes. I watch High Fidelity today, and there are moments where like obviously,
I
Houston.
was I was actually thinking I was along the same lines. I was thinking about it. I don't know why I was thinking about it. I was either putting the kids in the car or taking them out of the car for whatever reason. Like the thought in my head was they are never gonna grow up. They're gonna grow up not knowing what it like a home phone ringing, what that sounds like.
Yeah,
They're gonna grow up never knowing what that sound is,
yeah, it's sad.
which is weird. But again, the pay phones and the nostalgia of that and like calling on a cell phone or calling back on a landline like that all like I mean
Well,
you could easily replace it with like burners and shit like that so like it'd be fine but
even
yeah
like, what's that thing that's beeping at him? Oh, it's a pager. People well, probably don't know what the fuck a pager is.
no
They've heard of it, but they've never
they've
actually.
heard of it.
I had top. I mean, I had like the.
Or maybe like you could do it like old school because like you've seen some movies where they purposely use retro tech because you cannot trace it.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're right.
So you could still use the pager aspect because nobody's going to use it, so nobody's going to know what the fuck it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
Anything else for you that would be need to get rid of, gotten rid of in this film?
I mean, we kind of already talked about it because I wasn't sure where to put it, but it was just like the drag at the end of like yeah, that's not really canceled, so it's not really the right category, but I wrote it down in this category because I wasn't sure where to put it. And I'm like, because it's something that I would change. It's got nothing to do with,
Yeah.
anything that was like that was socially acceptable then that isn't now, but it's just kind of like if you're gonna do this, like, maybe shrink it down to like 2.5, 220, a tight 220. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. That tight two. Another Spider-Man again. Let's recast some folks. Let's start with Tom Sizemore, who plays Michael Torito. He's only 34 in this movie. And not that he looks old, but
No, he doesn't look old, but I have some thoughts on that later
I didn't realize his
with just some makeup and like how they made people look. But we'll talk about that in a
hair
second.
is like white. Anyway, okay, we can talk about that in a minute. All right, so I'll start with it. Well, I'll start with Michael Torito. I have four nominees, and I don't know if I really like any of them, but I like
I've
one of
got
them.
I've got three.
Okay, I think I like one of
I think
them.
I have three. Three. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay,
You want to trade off or
no,
you
no,
want to
I'll
just say
start.
all yours?
I'll start. By the way, the people I was coming up with are not this like they're not. Three of them are that age, but one's older.
That's
And the
fine.
one that's older I like the best. But so I had Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's just too pretty. I don't know. I don't really like that one. Miles Teller, he could be kind of a dick, but he probably want more lines. All right, my two favorites, Jesse Plemons, I think would be good in this.
Okay.
My favorite is actually Michael Cudlitz, though, and he's way older. You probably know him from uh, he plays Abraham in The Walking Dead. Um, he's Lex Luthor in the newest Superman and Lois TV show. Um, he's an older
Band
guy.
of Brothers. He's
Band
Band of
of
Brothers. He's
Brothers. That's
Bull.
right. Thank you.
He's 60 years
I
old.
don't care. I think he could play it fucking great. I think he can play it so in such an amazing way.
You're thinking like him 2001 Band of Brothers
What I'm saying is now
sold.
he's the same age as fucking Neil. Like he's basically on par with Neil, not this younger kid. And he doesn't play it like a younger kid. He plays it as his peer, but in reality, he's like 16 years younger than him. And I feel like he could be, no, he's like 18 years younger than him. No, he's 16, or yeah, 18. I'm
Yeah.
saying it could be the same age. And that if we cast an older guy, Michael Kulitz is my vote. Not that
Okay.
happy with my nominees.
Okay.
Tell us the winners.
I actually also had Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Did you really?
I did have him on my list. I also had Jamie Bell,
Okay, I like Jane Bill.
and then probably the one that I like the most is James. hold on. Dave Franco.
All right. I actually like Dave Franco better for Chris, frankly. Um,
I had some other people that I like for Chris, didn't I?
who was the person you said after Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Jamie Bell.
I think I like Jamie Bell better. I think that's my favorite. I hate to say Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't win because we both wrote him down, but I actually don't think he played. I don't think he fits that role very well. Uh,
You just needed someone with some grit.
yeah, and I guess maybe that's what it is. You know what it was when I was like, that's the reason why I thought he'd be good at that is totally the ending like shootout scene in the streets. Like with him and then what's the movie he was in with Brad Pitt, Bullet Train, where I'm like, oh, Aaron
Yes.
Johnson can kind of be kind of a badass.
Yes.
So that version, I think that'd be good. But I think Jamie Bell personally would be my vote.
All right. Wayne Grow.
Let's recast Wayne Gross. So Kevin Gage was 36. So I was trying to think of somebody who is a pretty charismatic, good-looking dude. But you could be like, yeah, I could hate this guy. So what are your not? You go first. Who are your nominees?
So I have two.
Yeah.
I have Charlie Heaton.
What's he from?
Wasn't he from Stranger Things?
Oh yeah,
He's the older brother.
yeah. He's the older brother. He plays Jonathan. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then probably the one that I like the most is Shia LaBeouf.
Oh fuck. All right. Let me say my two, and then we'll pick Shia LaBeouf. I had Jake Gyllenhaal, and I think Sebastian Stan could actually play this pretty well, based on
Yeah, because he's especially with some of the stuff that he's done recently, like
yeah,
he's really shown off his versatility and like what he like kind of like the type of actor that he can be and not just like a fucking superhero.
right. Well, even like when he plays Winter Soldier, like he plays kind of a crazy person, but then when he was in that Pam and Tommy show on Hulu,
Hmm.
yeah, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. But Shia LaBeouf wins.
I mean,
Good pick.
he's just like he'd be good.
He'd be so good.
He'd
He'd be
be
so
good.
good. Ashley Judd, who plays Charlene, she was 27 in this. I have two nominees.
Me too.
I have Chloe Grace Moritz.
Hmm.
I think would pretty good. And then I also have Daisy Edgar Jones. And if you don't know who she is, she's in like I know where the cage bird sings.
Okay.
She's in a few
Well,
other things.
there is a clear winner because I also wrote down Chloe Grace Moretz.
Grace
And
Moritz.
the other name that I had was Elle Fanning.
Elle Fanning's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think Chloe Grace Moritz would be
I
fucking
think she would be because
so good.
she's got to be she's kind of a badass, but she's kind of vulnerable at the same time. So it's because she's a mother and she's worrying about her son. And yeah.
Yep. So John Voight plays Nate. He's 57.
So I just want to talk about that real quick because and we'll get to them in a second because he's 57, Al Pacino's 55, Robert De Niro's 52. They make John Voight look so much older than Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Al Pacino's only 2 years younger and he looks a decade younger than him in that movie.
Oh my God. No, John Voight looks like he's fucking a
He
gazillion.
looks like he's 75 and like should be in a
You know
like
what?
a
I'm
home.
just gonna say it right now. This is gonna be one of my inner nerd
But
thoughts.
I feel like that's really good. That's good. That's good makeup. That's good costume. Like that's really good work.
Let me just say my one of my inner nerd thoughts. Actually, one of my only ones because we've said a lot of it already. But he is the winner, and this is actually a pretty good winner because there's a lot nominees. He's the winner of the worst hair award for me. This, I mean, and I'm saying Val Kilmer's is pretty fucking bad.
This is really bad.
John Voight's every time he's on screen, I'm like, oh, I'm like cringing. It's so fucking
He
terrible.
got his hair cut by a suck cut from
Oh,
Wayne's World.
really does suck. Um, yeah. So bad. But you're right. No, he is makeup.
Like it's just like I saw that and I'm like, gee, like
He looks like he's
they
70.
made him look so old, which is great. I love it.
He looks like a hard 78, not even like a good 70.
Right, like he got rode hard and put away wet. Like he
Yeah.
lived a hard life.
Well,
That guy's seen some shit.
so I kind of thought about that a little bit with my first recast, and I got three. Is it my turn to go first? No, it's your turn.
Uh, it's my turn. It's my turn to go first. So I got two.
Yeah,
Um, I wrote down Mark Ruffalo,
yeah, he's almost too pretty though. You have to. I mean, you throw a bad wig on him though, bad ponytail, he might be able to
but
be.
like you messes, and then honestly, I like the one that I like the most is Brad Pitt.
He could do it.
He could do it. Like you again, you fuck up his hair, you give him like a shitty kind of like patchy ass beard and like some good makeup and both of them can do it. But I Brad Pitt's my favorite one of my nominees
Yeah, that's good. So mine.
because you needed a somebody.
I,
John Voight's a someone. All these people are someones. Like there's no slouch in this entire movie. Like they went out and got a dynamite cast, which was on one side of the coin made it easy to recast, but then on the flip side made it a little bit difficult because you really needed a someone in almost all of these roles.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so mine for Nate are three pretty big actors. Jeffrey Wright, I think would be really good.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if he plays it a little bit too dark, but I also like don't hate that. Um,
No.
I also had Ethan Hawke, who I think is could play a real good dirtbag. Um,
Yep. Like I'm picturing him in the Magnificent Seven remake with that like really big mustache. Yeah.
I was
Yep.
thinking too. Now
Yep. Yep. Yep.
the biggest guy, the biggest actor, and also the person who could play the biggest dirtbag is I think Matthew McConaughey.
See, I thought about him too, because he would, and he's too old, but I gotta say his name, Jeff Bridges.
Oh man, yeah.
Jeff Bridges could do it too. That's just right off the top of my head. But McConaughey, I did think about because I was like, ooh, yeah,
Well, I think it depends
he. c-
how serious we want to be. If we want to be serious, I think it's Jeffrey Wright. If we want to have a little more like tongue-in-cheek fun with it, which I think is what he does with John Voight, I think McConaughey is the answer. Brad Pitt's too pretty. He'd take me out of it.
I think. I mean,
I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I'm just saying like,
he could do it. You
but
could argue McConaughey's too pretty too.
yeah, but I'm thinking like Dallas Buyers Club and even like True what's called
True Detective.
Detective. He's very pretty in that.
Put like the makeup and like the hair and like like the beard and everything. Like put him in that role.
True Detective Matthew McConaughey, I think, is the right
True
answer.
Detective Matthew McConaughey. But I honestly like I have a hard time going against Jeffrey Wright though.
I
I
know.
think that's I think that's really good.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
one of those two. It depends on how you want to do it, but I think it's one of those two.
I think yeah, I agree. Okay. So these last three are going to be hard, but also I had like clear winners, but I had a couple different nominees. So Val Kilmer again plays Chris. Val Kilmer at the time was 36. So I'll go first. I think the obvious answer that everyone is going to say or even think would be like Glenn Powell. I mean, he is kind of
Nope,
he's right there in that wheelhouse
not
time.
on my list.
Okay, well, he's a pretty well-known actor, and I think
He is. He is.
I actually had a couple other guys. I think Robert Pattinson can do a pretty good job with this.
I thought about him. Yep.
My favorite though is Jack Loudon.
I
Um,
know that name.
so
Why do I
two
know that
main things you
name?
know him from is he's in the show on Paramount Plus called The Gold, and the biggest thing he's known for is he's like the main character basically in Slow Horses on Apple, and he is. I think He's such a charismatic but also like not the leading man character that I think that like that's what makes Val Kilmer's character so great is he's a really awesome addition to the team to the
He's
team.
in Dunkirk too.
Oh,
I
he's
don't
in
know what he.
Dunkirk. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I only saw that once, so I don't know like what I don't know who he was in that, but I was just looking him up real quick, and he's in Dunkirk too.
So that
And
those
Mary Queen of Scots.
so Jack Loudon's my winner. Or my favorite. What are yours?
What do I got? I got two. Um, I don't know which one I like the most because it would be a little bit of a shock for one of them to see it, but that doesn't mean I don't think he could do it because, Val Kilmer's a good, like, he's a good looking guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's tall, like, whatever, but like, at Zac Efron,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I had probably the one that I like the most is Bill Skarsgård.
Oh yeah. Bill Skarsgård's like a fucking chameleon, man. That guy is
I know,
he's been like a leading actor action person, but he's also been like Pennywise.
fucking Pennywise,
Uh,
creeper.
yeah, I think I like Skarsgård. Like I think he could pull that
I
off.
think he could do it. I think because he's again like a good looking guy, but like he has that side to him.
I'll say Val
He
Kilmer also.
has that dark side to him that you need to play this role specifically.
And I think that Val Kilmer does a really good job of making this role fairly unassuming. Like he does not try and steal seats. Like
Mm-mm.
he's not grandstanding. There's no
He
scene.
is very much a supporting actor of just like I'm along for the ride with this guy,
Yeah.
with Robert De Niro. Like whatever he tells me to do, I'm going to go do it. Walk away, but I'm here. Walk away. All right,
And I think
done.
Skarsgård's a well enough known actor where you'd be like, that's Skarsgård.
Exactly, and that's
Also,
because
not
it's
like,
because it's Val Kilmer. It's not just a nobody. Like again, none of these guys are nobodies. Val Kilmer was. All of these actors are very well known at this point in time, with the exception of Natalie Portman.
yeah, definitely.
But even she does well.
No, she's great. I didn't actually try and recast her. It's hard to recast.
I did not either. It's
So the last two are the big bangers, right? We got Vincent and Neil. So let's do Pacino first. He was 55 at the time.
I wrote so I ended up doing this a little bit like the same way that I've done a couple is I combined the two and
Yes.
I landed on a pair. I
Me too.
don't you can pick whichever way you want, but I landed on a pair that I think would be perfect.
You just have one pair.
No, I have a lot of other names, but like as soon as I landed on these people, I stopped writing down names and I'm like, that would be it. It would be like again, very, commensurate with Pacino and De Niro like doing this movie together, like these two doing this movie together
I actually
on
did.
the opposite sides of the coin.
I did all of mine by pairs. So I have five pairs.
Oh, perfect. Let's do it.
Again, also De Niro, who plays Neil McCauley, is 52. So 55.
Yes.
You want to take turns with pairs, or you just want to? How do you want to do it?
I only listed one pair and then I listed a bunch of names.
Do you want to just give us the individual names, then we can do pairs, and you give your pair?
I had yes. So the individual names again, you're thinking about like so let me think about this. So I wrote down Leo,
Okay.
Bradley Cooper, Joaquin Phoenix, and Christian Bale.
Okay. For Vincent Hanna.
Any of them,
Oh, for
either
any
of
of them.
them,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. All right.
either of them.
Yeah.
I think they're versatile enough that you could probably argue that. I mean, like especially with those, well, maybe not. I don't know how like Cooper's pretty versatile, but like when you talk about Christian Bale, Leo, and Joaquin, like they'll play any of them. I think I probably envisioned Joaquin more in um the Neil role.
With Leo as Vincent Hanna.
Yeah,
That's a good pair. I like that pair.
yeah. And then you could do Cooper and Christian Bale. Probably the same way where Cooper could be Vincent,
Yeah.
and Christian Bale would be Neil.
100%.
Would probably be a good one. All right, now you go.
Those are good pairs. Man, shit, those are really good. So my first couple are well known, but they're not like the top of the, you know,
I was picking the top of the food chain.
acting I feel like your two pairs are going to be higher than four of mine. Um, I thought Christian Slater as Hannah and Kiefer Sutherland as Macaulay would do really well together.
Oh, that's like the yeah. Okay, yep, I know where you're going with that.
And I know that they're in that age group and maybe they're not as well known, but they're still pretty big. It's hard to like say Pacino and De Niro. I mean, that is like Leo and Phoenix for sure. Little more low key, I guess. I said Jeremy Renner would play Vincent Hanna, and then Guy Pearce would play Neil McCauley,
Okay.
and then I had Mark Strong would play
That one could go either way.
Mark Strong.
No, 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 no. Pearson Renner. You could flip that and it would still work. That's all I'm saying.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
No, it's good. Mark Strong, I think, would be really good as Pacino as Vincent Hanna, uh, uh, opposite Clive Owen.
Two Brits.
That's probably why I pair them together. I think
Two
that's
Brits set it in London. There you go.
yeah.
Now
Now,
you're thinking.
now the next one is I was thinking The Wire. Idris Elba could play Vincent Hanna, and then Dominic West would play Neil McCauley. That
Oh, so you're flipping the script on The Wire too.
was good versus bad and flip flop now.
There you go. Okay. I thought about Idris Elba. I definitely I considered him and I was like, like, but who would I pair him with? It's like, I don't know, like, but again, like comparing it to Pacino
Yeah.
and De Niro, it's like, is he like if you're gonna stick with the same essence, like, is he big enough? I love Idris Elba, but like
No,
he's not those guys.
no, I agree, and I still think that Phoenix and Leo are the leaders in the clubhouse. But here's my top pair.
Do it.
I had uh I had Affleck as Hannah, and I had Matt Damon as Macaulay.
Fucking right. That's exactly who I had too. I had Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Like that's perfect.
Okay, good.
I like
And I
and you
think
and again, like either way, like I don't really care what they
you
do.
could flip
Like you could
flop them.
flip any of like whichever ones they want to do, but like those two, like knowing like how good of friends that like knowing just in the real world how close those guys are and how good of friends they are and seeing them on the opposite side, like I think that's a and because they're two huge actors. It's not like they're slouches.
No,
Like
not
that would be a home run.
I totally agree. They'd be
Yep.
amazing. Let's see. Well, to stream or not to stream, I've already kind of like shown my cards. I think this would be an amazing TV show. I think that
I
this.
said no.
Oh, you want to keep it as a movie,
Keep it as a movie.
despite all the downtime. I think you could turn
I
this.
think keep it as well, and I kind of went like the almost like the logical route of like it's a movie because at the end everyone dies.
That is true.
They're all dead except for Chris. And Chris goes dark. He goes underground because he's got to hide from the cops and he's got a broken clavicle and gunshot wounds and all that stuff. So like, but in general, I don't like. I still feel like take all that out of like the logical sense of like they're dead. So like, what the hell are you gonna do after that? Um, I still like it as a movie. I don't necessarily like it as
Oh,
like even like a mini like a band of brothers or something like that. Like no, like
I like it as a movie too.
I think it's good.
I think the problem is that with this long of a movie, I think that there are some tough times. It's kind of not tough times, but there are some weird pacing issues for me.
Hmm.
But I don't know you can stretch this into 8 episodes, like or 10 episodes, like Band of Brothers. I think like it maybe like
No,
like the Brits do. They do like 6 episodes, hour long. I think you could stretch this into 6 hours.
more like a Sherlock. Yep, or like a
Oh,
use a more recent reference like a Chernobyl.
you're right. Yeah, four hours
Four
or
or five episodes, an hour apiece, done.
that I think you can get away with that. But
Yep.
and maybe that's actually the next category too, depending on if what you do with.
Maybe that's the director's cut.
Oh fuck yeah, that well, so the tomorrow is another day, right? And I don't know if you knew this, but Heat 2 is coming out, and it's starring Austin Butler and Adam Driver, and I think it's actually supposed to be a prequel. I don't think, I know. It's a novel written by Michael Mann and Meg Gardner. And it's his first novel, Michael Mann's first novel, and apparently it's a prequel and a sequel. So it's like a back and forth. Um, Covers the formative years of homicide detective Vincent Hanna and criminals Neil McCauley and Chris Sherilis. The the novel's prologue is set immediately after the film's ending, before moving to 1988. 1995 and 2000 through multiple locations in North America, South America, and Southeast Asia. So I guess it's like them forming, him escaping, and then years later. Kind of interesting. So that's all I wrote down for tomorrow's alert. I'm sure I know you, I always leave this for you.
I actually went pretty mild on this one. Just again, like with how the movie ends, like there's only really a certain amount of directions you can take this, and for me, there was only one like obvious direction,
Mhm.
and that was obviously centered around Chris because he's the only one that's left of the crew. He's the only one that's left, and he goes into hidings. He goes into hiding. He obviously recovers from his wounds, and then he eventually finds out from Nate because Nate's still alive what happened to Neil, and then he goes on the warpath.
Hmm.
And he starts hunting down Vince and everybody else to get again very very Neil-esque of like you did wrong to me, so I'm gonna do wrong to you. I'm gonna get even, just like Neil would do, because Neil got even. At the end of the day, Neil did get even, so Chris would do it too.
Yeah, that's
And who
interesting.
knows? Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. We'll
I
see.
mean, I was gonna say we'll see what happens. I think that's the problem with that, even though I would definitely watch that, is that I don't think you're as sympathetic to Chris anymore, which you certainly were to Neil because of who he killed and why he killed him.
No, I mean you could probably. I mean, thinking of you could weave in some things with his wife and child to
Yeah,
make
I
him a
mean,
little bit more sympathetic of like
maybe,
trying to reconnect with them after however long he had to go into hiding.
or maybe
Um,
Vince is doing some things that are now like they've crossed the line where he's using them as bait and like making their life a living hell, and Vince has become like the bad guy he didn't want to be, the person he's always been chasing. You know what I mean?
right.
Then you're like, now
The
Chris,
line gets blurred further and further and further until you don't even see it anymore.
yeah. Then
Yep.
then maybe that would make sense. Yeah.
Then maybe that would make sense. I was just meaning like not necessarily a sequel. I just mean like what happens next. That's what happens next.
Right. Nerd facts. So Michael Mann, we already mentioned kind of where the story came from, LA Takedown, but he actually originally wrote this story back in 1979, even before his debut film of Thief. And he basically created this show, eventually turned into Miami Vice, and then LA Takedown that's turned into Heat. So he's got a history of TV shows to movies for sure. That second one you can probably skip.
Yeah, I was just going to say Eddie Bunker was a criminal throughout his teens and early adult life, but he eventually left that world behind. He became a screenwriter and an actor. He plays Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs, for example. Bunker served as a consultant on Heat, and Voight's character of Nate is based on Bunker. I got some thoughts about that, but we'll talk about that for final thoughts later.
Yeah, we already mentioned him, but like again, based on character from Reservoir Dogs, it's pretty funny.
That is pretty cool.
Mann is one of the foremost makers of crime films. We already mentioned this before. He puts a lot of effort into it, though. And before he shot Heat, he actually took De Niro, Kilmer, and Tom Sizemore to the Folsom State Prison to talk to actual career criminals to help influence their performances. Get meta.
No shit. That's that's known as method acting. Um, The centerpiece of Heat is, as we've talked about, the bank robbery and the shootout that ensues. That shootout had a lot of effort put into it. A former member of the British Special Forces was brought in to advise. He actually spent 3 months training them on weapon usage, and they even used live rounds during training. For the actual movie, obviously, they use blanks.
I mean, and that's kind of like part of the next fact too.
Absolutely, yeah.
It wasn't none of this was shot on a soundstage, and the entire 107 days of shooting were done on location. And obviously, there's a lot of problems, and a lot of the shootings were just too loud. LAX was super challenging because of all the shutdowns. It's just kind of, you're doing things on site and in real life and not on a soundstage. There's traffic and there's only times you can do it. So it's kind of a tough shooting schedule.
Yeah. Brown's what is verisimilitude paid off critically and commercially with Heat, but it was also impressed some experts. In fact, and I actually have seen this and have seen this on numerous occasions. In fact, the Marines have shown recruits the shootout scenes as part of their training. It appears is an accurate representation of both the right way to retreat and fire and the proper way to quick change a gun's magazine. And actually focus on particularly Val Kilmer because he does a little bit of a jerk
Yeah.
to get it out, and they actually like they've noticed that and they actually teach it that way now because that's a really fast way to get the magazine out and get a new one in of just that little wrist flick of the wrist or whatever he did. And that again, like that's the training. Like you we're getting off topic, but like go, watch YouTube videos of Keanu Reeves on a gun range.
I was
That
about
guy really knows what he's doing because of all the training that he's done for all the movies that he's done. He is exceptional.
I was gonna say the exact same example. Like
Yep,
they talk about this movie, they talk about John Wick and Keanu Reeves.
so good.
So rather than dubbing in the gunshots during the bank robbery shootout, Michael Mann had microphones placed around the set so that the audio could be captured live. And this added to the impact of the scene because it sounded like no other gunfight shown on screen. And man, it is. I mean, you even said this earlier.
Totally
Like,
true. I said, yep,
it's loud, man. It
it's
is.
loud and I love it,
Yeah.
and it echoes. Like you can, again, they didn't shoot it like no sound state. They shot everything on location. You can tell.
Yeah.
You really can tell. In the director's commentary, Michael Mann noted that Al Pacino improvised the line because she's got a great ass. Hank Azaria confirmed, saying that Al Pacino's unexpected outbursts scared the hell out of him. He said, quote, he actually just terrified me, and that look was a shock, and that look of shock was not acting at all,
I love
which
those
is
scenes
great.
in the
I
movie.
love those things because we've talked about that at length of like, they'll be doing something and then the director will be like, now on this take, actually punch him. And so they like you're gonna aim, but the other guy doesn't know it, so you can get that real like Hans Gruber getting dropped on two. So the look on his face is genuine shock that he got dropped, but just to get that to draw that performance out of him.
Just that
Love
visceral
it.
reaction. Yeah.
Yep.
Inner nerd thoughts. Did we learn anything? What do you think? I already kind of shared mine. I already talked about again.
I mean, I got a couple like questions in general.
Well, I'll just say again, we already litigated John Voight, winner of worst hair, Val Kilmer, silver medal.
Silver medal. I
Neil
mean,
Neil should have
yeah.
gotten away. And then lastly, for me, I'm actually really excited about the sequel. I'm really curious about how he puts this together. I think that what Michael Mann does is pretty great, but I don't know. It'll be interesting without De Niro and Pacino for sure, and obviously Val Kilmer.
Yeah. I guess the first thing I wrote down was like, how does Wayne Grow get away?
Oh no, he is like fucking straight
You
up
know what I mean? Like
Spider-Man.
he's got him right there. They're surrounding him. They had the trunk of the car already lined with fucking trash bags and everything like that. And then somehow he just
I do
like
think
Kaiser Soze, he was just gone.
yeah. No,
And they couldn't find him. Like, how the hell's that guy get away?
there are some moments in the movie where, like, again, Macaulay is clearly like the most meticulous planner and is amazing at this. And then that scene in particular, and then again, the ending scene with the plane and the light, like they were totally leading up to like Macaulay noticing the light and being able to use that in his favor, and then Pacino uses it in his favor. Like there are a couple moments where I'm like, I don't think Macaulay would have been that bad at his job. You've made him out to be this uh I don't know, just this Jason Bourne again, like villain,
This savant.
and then he's a complete moron in like a couple instances, which kind of seemed a little like out of character. So like I agree with you. Like Wayne Gross shouldn't have got away there.
Yeah, that was one thing. Another thing was Nate. Again, hair aside, like, where does this guy get all his resources? Like,
Or, or
that guy is like the linchpin of the entire underground in Los Angeles of like, I need a new out. Okay, sure. Here's a private plane. It's gonna blah blah blah, log a flight path, yada yada. I was like, who are you? How do you
yeah.
how do you know all this stuff? Where do you like and he's hooking him up with like with the jobs and the fences and like he's the centerpiece around everything. So it's just how does a guy get in that position to be able to provide that kind of service, like the a seemingly limitless service to
Well,
criminals?
he's Jim Phelps from Mission Impossible. He just has all the context and all, knows all.
Right, right.
And I, and
And
I,
then
I and I did think to myself like, okay, so all of the it's all coming back on these guys, but also wouldn't uh wouldn't Pacino know that perhaps like there's somebody who's getting them all their IDs and all their passports or whatever. I mean, I again maybe
I mean,
he's
he again,
smart.
there's a trust factor there of like they those guys have clearly known each other for a very long time. So it's if I'm getting it from this guy, I know it's good, I know it's clean, I know he did it the right way, so I can trust him. So there's some history there that you don't see, but you can just assume just on how they interact. But still, it's just like where the fuck is this guy getting all this stuff from?
Yeah, and
It's
quickly,
crazy.
and I guess Vincent's just like I'm getting Macaulay. I'm not worried about like his provider, whatever layers up. Like,
Right,
but yeah, you're
right.
right. Like John Voight's character is like the fucking Godfather.
He basically is. And then the last one, and it's another backup dancer that we did not mention. Tone Loc
Yeah.
is the snitch, and I wrote down him. I was like Tone Loc, and this is peak of the mountain for him because he was in Ace Ventura in '94 and he was this in '95.
Yeah. Well, the answer for Tone Loc is fucking Ace Ventura
It's
4.
absolutely Ace Ventura, but he is because he has a little bit more a larger role. But I had to write him down and give him a shout out of Peak of the Mountain and because he was the snitch and it was again Al Pacino in that scene just
Yeah, good call.
over the top of like,
Quit wasting my motherfucking
is
time.
that it? That's all you got?
Yeah.
And then he said slick, and then everything, obviously takes off from there. So yeah, that was it.
Well, I think as far as again, final thoughts, legacy, we've already kind of touched on it. I'm really curious about what happens with part two coming
Yeah,
up.
I didn't know about part two, so now I'm curious to see what happens with it too.
Yeah, I mean, I did some research on it. It sounds pretty fascinating. I don't know how whether I mean it sucks with Val Kilmer. Obviously, that's a huge part of it because it was a lot about Chris's character.
Yep.
So we'll see how they rework that. But I think that the Pacino De Niro connection with this movie, I think this is a movie that real movie folks, know and respect. And
Hmm.
I don't know, it's just it's one that I don't think people talk enough about as they should. But man, it's a fucking banger.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Well, go check out Heat if you haven't already. Nerd Outreach. Thank yous as always to John. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
This has been fun. It's always fun.
It's always fun. I
Uh,
mean, it gives me a chance to watch movies that I probably haven't. I mean, some I admittedly don't need to rewatch because I've seen them so many times, but some like this where like I haven't seen this movie, couldn't tell you the last time I saw this movie just start to finish.
well, I do think it's odd that like the movie years are seem to be on the fives. So I think 95, 2000, even 90, those are really big, and 85 for sure are gigantic years for film. So we got a ton of amazing bangers
We
coming
got
up.
a lot of stuff that we will just not get to, but we'll get to it eventually.
Right. So as we've always say, like we love everyone who listens and watches. So check us out on all the platforms and the YouTubes and such. Next episode preview. Next time John and I will be together, we're going to be doing the 2000 draft with neighbor Dave and Brian,
And Brian, yep,
and then
friends of the show.
uh, multiple time guests. And speaking
Yep,
of between there, I'm going to be doing an episode with Brandon about I say is our resident Godfather expert about Goodfellas. So um,
another Robert De Niro film.
another Robert De Niro. Big year for that guy. Big year on the fives for that guy.
Big year.
Well, until next time, thanks everybody.
Bye bye. I only have this one. I don't have another one after this.
Really?
Yeah, I never got anything else. I got those two, and you were like, "Sorry for the spam," and I'm like, "I only got two."
What you talking about, bro? Um, it's so weird. It has your email on here.
That's
It's okay. I'll just send you.
blame Yahoo.
Yeah, is fucking garbage.
It, it's the same. It's the same email. It's the same email I've had like since high school.
I know. I have my Yahoo account too, and I try not to use it. Just and actually, it's because of my school account. I'm always logged into Google, and so like getting into my Yahoo account is kind of a pain in the ass. So it's kind of nice that I don't have to do it. But everything, I mean, everything goes through my Yahoo account on my phone for sure.
Right.
Wait, I just went to the next two links.